You're tuned in to Nice-ish, the Carnival-specific podcast that addresses chat-worthy topics straight off the Caribbean social scene. It's your one-stop spot to get all the information you need to be successful in this carnival-chasing lifestyle. You'll be filled with knowledge and getting updates from me, Sha, and other professionals in the field of Bacchanal. It's time to get nice.
What's up, everybody? It is March. Wake up, wake up, wake up. It's the first of the month. Get up, get up. So get your checks and get up. And your checks are already spent because you already got all these bills and you already paying for costumes and you paying for all these feds. No, I'm sorry. So yes, what's up? Welcome back to Nice-ish. It is March 1st. This episode, I warn you, is very long. It's the longest episode that I've ever done, not only because it's, the first of the month episode, which means that I'm giving you my hot foot recap for February. I'm talking about trending things, and then we're getting into our topic, which is Trinidad Carnival 2020. And I'm chatting with my homegirl, Shermica, Socanista, the leader of Soka Tribe. And this was probably the most challenging episode to record. If you only know or knew how many times she and I had gotten disconnected, or I couldn't hear her or she couldn't hear me. So do bear with us during this episode, but it's kind of funny. But I edit out majority of the mishaps, but it was a little bit of a struggle, and her ass is still in Tobago as I speak to you. So anyway, let's talk about my movementations for the month of February. Here we go. So I think I always tell you guys whether or not I'm a hot foot or whether or not I'm a hermit for whatever month. And so for February, you already know that it's my birthday month. I did it up. I was definitely a hot foot. I started February off with a birthday / nice-ish launch brunch that was held at Sweet Brooklyn Bar in Brooklyn. Shout out to everybody who came. I couldn't invite everybody I really wanted to because I had a limited amount of seating that was provided to me by the vendor, but shout out to everybody who came afterwards. We did do a short stint at Karaoke. And I think I kind of want to go back to see what like a real night of theirs was like, because that wasn't their regular event. So I got to go back and check it out. And then of course, already I went to Bacchanal Road in Trinidad, which was amazing. I'm not going to talk about it here because I have an entire episode on it. Episode number 8, the last one, that you can go and listen to and hear about my experience and a couple others, during Bacchanal Road. Then after that, I came back. I went to another J Upscale Fete in Jersey, and I really, really respect him for continuously doing these events out there and putting Soca on the Jersey map. So I went to the Shensia and Skinny Fabulous Fete that he had in Elizabeth. And we already know that Skinny is a great performer, and however, I had not had the pleasure of watching Shensia live. So seeing her there, she came on, she looks amazing. And I will say this, she sounds amazing live. I think I'm definitely scorned by my dance hall artist live performances. I think there's only a handful of JA artists that have captured me when I watch them live. That is Chronix, that is Taris Riley. And granted, they're definitely reggae, but I don't know that they would consider themselves to be dancehall artists. But Movado definitely disappointed the shit out of me. So I was happy that Shensia really delivered. Although as short as it was, I respected what she did. She can really blow, and I just love, love, love her versatility. When I say I'm a fan, I am a fan. So after that, came back to the NYC area. I think the next week, I got my new boob, y'all. So if you have been keeping up with my journey, I've been very transparent with this whole breast cancer thing, no longer breast cancer thing, whatever. So my new boob, my silicone implant is finally in. Healing with flying colors. It has been really a painless situation. This is so much different than my experience, my surgery in September. And it's a breeze. And I have to like remind myself that I'm still healing because I'm out here doing the most because it doesn't hurt. So anyway, I'm looking forward to getting back to exercising, but I can't do that I can't do any upper body for another 3 weeks to a month. But I'm gonna start my lower body stuff so I can get right. But anyway, other than that, I've just been adulting. I don't know if you care or not, but definitely I renewed my driver's license this month. I got my inspection sticker renewed, so my car is good to go for another 2 years. And I find it funny that they don't charge for that. Y'all charge for everything else, but not for me to go through. I mean, I'm not mad. I was prepared to pay something and I couldn't remember if I paid because, you don't do it so often. And it was just, you go, I probably spent like 15 minutes there and was in and out process. Of course, me, I got to go before the gates open. So it was smooth. So yeah, I did a lot of adulting at the end of February. And now that I'm in March, I'm kind of keeping still. But anyway, we'll talk about that on the next First of the Month episode.
And now it's time for Trending Tingz. Women's History Month has arrived, and International Women's Day is Sunday, March 8th. Shout out to Team Estrogen. The coronavirus is on the rise and impacting our lives in ways we may not even realize just yet. From travel bans to imported goods, things aren't looking too peachy. Masks are practically useless for the disease, so don't go doing the most. And as well-traveled listeners, it may be wise to start purchasing trip insurance for all upcoming adventures, just to cover that ass. With Trinidad Carnival out the way, bacchanalians can now focus on other carnival shenanigans. Many well-known Lucian fetes are selling out 5 months in advance, but thankfully, new fetes are on the rise, and those would be the ones I'd spend my money on. Only mess would remain on my docket. I good Honduras. Bahamas Carnival is quickly approaching. Most of the fete tickets have dropped, and there's a new event added damn near daily. Bahamas might be a real nice scene for 2020. Melee Cruise, hosted by Tribe and Marshall Montano, is coming to give Uber Soca a run for their money. Information on Melee Cruise is rumored to drop today, March 1st. Can't wait to see those prices. The Soca community is outraged by the actions of Nicki Minaj's lover. They will not stand for the disrespect of the water god. See corresponding blog post for my favorite letters and memes in support of Neil Iwer George. And now, for the championship results for Soca music in Trinidad 2020. Power Soca Monarch goes to Neil Iwer George and Kess for Stage Gone Bad. Big Up Lyrical for second place for Ruction. Groovy Soca Monarch goes to College Boy Jesse for his hit song, Happy Song. And with approximately 386 plays on the road, Iwer and Kess have come out on top yet again as the Road March champions for 2020. Conch Show, bwomp bwomp, has come in second place with 95 plays. And Fat by Nadia Batson was played 9 times, earning her the bronze medal for Road March 2020. And now for my vocal tribute to the reigning water god and to our favorite red man for their amazing contribution to Soca 2020. I hope you enjoy. Mash it up, shell it down, turn it over. The stage now good again. All right, y'all. Happy March. I got one of my homegirls on the show today. I met her in 2015 when we went to Hollywood Carnival.
Oh
And
my God.
I know, right? Right? Just random. And I didn't know her. Actually, I didn't know a lot of people joined that trip. Melissa Bay, she put it together. No, yeah, she invited me. Amy
Mm-hmm.
put it together. Amy was the group leader. And then I met a whole bunch of people that year that we're still in contact with. And you are one of them. Everybody's Shermica Farquhar is on
Good
the show.
morning. Morning, everybody.
You did a lot. You did a lot just now. The carnival is serious, and you need some carnival recovery soup, carnival recovery tea. Just posted that yesterday. But but you're gonna get better.
I am. I'm sipping tea as we speak.
Yay.
But I feel like I cut off your intro, so I'm gonna be quiet and let you finish.
Oh no, that's fine. I'm done. I'm done. Tell them who you are. Tell them like, little background information on you, on Soka Tribe. Give them the juice.
So, starting the tea with me. My name is Shermica Farquhar. I am a Brooklyn-born Trinidadian and the founder of Soka Tribe. That is just a few months away from our 5th birthday, which is unbelievable. So funny that when Shamir talks about that first Hollywood Carnival, that's right around the time where it was like percolating. I want to do something. I'm going to teach this dance fitness thing.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into that a little bit more of that story later. But Soka Tribe is a gateway community to the carnival culture. We connect with people. I like to say we bring people in through dance fitness. We have the Soka Tribe Convoy, which is our community-based performing group. We do edutainment. So yes, I will go to school and talk about carnival and like its historic roots, because the mission of Soka Tribe is so that the world understands not only the joys of, the love, freedom, and connection that carnival brings, but its
Mm-hmm.
rich historic roots.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to find opportunities to like weave that into the experiences just so that people understand it's more than just a jump up and a great
Absolutely.
time. And of course, as we're going to cover a lot today, I would say a culminating experience as you go through becoming a member of Soka Tribe is coming to Carnival with us. No, you don't have to be a member of Soka Tribe to come to Carnival. It is a open group trip. We launch a website and things of that sort. So I'll pause there on our mini intro.
All right. That was a good one. So the topic today is really just recapping. I want to hear about your Trinidad Carnival 2020 experiences, and then we also have some voice notes from our listeners about their experiences as well. So I just kind of wanted to go through all of that. I mean, Trinidad Carnival has officially come to an end as of Wednesday, and I was glad that I got to participate a little bit by going to Bacchanal Road, but it really is nothing compared to Monday and Tuesday and the core weekend. So you did a podcast with Style and Vibes back in July. Shout out to Michaela. And that
Hey, boo.
episode, was entitled, I think it was like how to prepare for Trinidad Carnival. So now that thing done, party done, I want to run me through what happened. Run me through your experience. And I know that it was probably a little different because you had your organizer hat on, I'm sure. But from a personal, we can block it out, right? From a personal perspective, tell me about that, and then we can go forth. And because we also want to talk about the Soka Tribe 2021 experience, and so then I'll leave the group portion there. But for Shermica, tell me about Trinidad. Let's start off with like your fets. How many fets? Where'd you go? How were they?
So what's interesting is I've been in Trinidad for a while. My Bay lives in Trinidad right now, so it's one of those. Okay, I came down super early, and I did want us to enjoy some setting and some time together before work mode went on. What I'll say is the fete that I tried for the first time this year was on the Sunday before Carnival, called Different by Cari People. And I really enjoyed it. It was an all-inclusive. It was ridiculous. I think it was like 400 TT or something like that. And great concert. there was food. Here's the thing. Somebody explained to me, it was like, you get what you pay for. So like, it wasn't it was in a stadium. The concert was great. You had some all-inclusive, like there were a variety of foods, but you know, I usually do my all-inclusive fets during the major carnival party week. So I'm, you know, in my head, I'm expecting kind of a like, you know, Soca brainwash, that kind of all-inclusive experience. And it's just like, that's not what that was. But
I was like,
concert
that
was
was a high
great.
expectation.
I know. You know what? You gotta want it all, right? You gotta have a
I
big vision.
guess, yeah.
And I guess I mentioned Soka brainwash just in terms of the diversity and presentation, but you know, bases were covered. I was fed, I was liquored.
Okay.
I could see the stage, and when we go out, we always make every concert a fet. So I think that's something that people also need to.
But wait a minute. Sidebar. You said 400 TT.
Yeah, I did, right?
But that's only like
$60. $2, Gil, and I get $300 with.
Would you expect the Soca brainwash prize for $60?
I mean, okay, let me. And this is why. So you got to remember, I had to reset expectations based on like, I had not been to a, I would say, more cost conscious, all inclusive. And again, I brought up Soca brainwash just in terms of like variety of spread. I was not expecting that huge tent that provides the shade, but it's still breezy. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not crazy.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, it was different. And here's the thing, I jumped into it, right? So it was like, that was my first real fet. And so it was like, shock, okay, think about things. Cool. There were also these things called pavement limes, which I thought were great. They're held by radio stations. And
what does that mean? And it was in like, the fet?
No. So this is, I had to pause myself and be like, wait, Shermica, you forgot the pavement limes that you've never been to before.
Okay. So lime. Okay.
Pavement lime. And for those of you who are new, although, you know, Ting's nicest followers are well educated on the lingo, a lime is a hangout or a kickback, as we call back in the States. But at these pavement limes, literally their radio stations would set up like a little low key stage. You had some smaller artists perform. Skinny Banton was on. I'm having all of the brain farts in my head right now. I actually just let the last of my hosted folks go, although it's Carnival Saturday, so it's like still in recovery. But they had some smaller artists, they had the DJs out, there were people in streets, and it was cool, right? It's like, okay, you're getting a little bit of the flavor. But there was a larger on the avenue, like Destra was like the leading the headliner, but you had Destra, you had Lyrical, you had Skinny, you had Moto, you had Preety, you had Swappy. For the free scheme and RSVP thing, because they did do some sort of barricading. When I say show was ram.
Wow.
Ding dong, like everybody. And I was like, this is great. Like I was literally sitting, some of my folks had gotten into Pub House early. So we were just at Pub House and we were like literally reach out and touch the stage, because the stage is in the middle of the street and you could see everything. But it was such a nice, and for me being like of Trinidadian descent, and just understanding price points, and you know, everybody comes down to the island, which is great and it's important and we love, but it's like you have these like the amazing artists are going from expensive fet to expensive fet to expensive fet. And I'm like, it's good to know that there are things that are happening that are accessible to all.
Yes.
Because like I said, if everybody doesn't have access, we lose so much. So that's kind of how like the warm up started for me. I was like, oh, this joint is great. And then I went to a different, it's great. I went to the wedding.
Okay. Yes.
I went to the wedding. We went to the wedding, which was funny because that was like the first time most people that started told I was engaged. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, you know, I'm excited and jumping around. They're like, I told myself, like, you know, we living our lives, right? What I thought of the wedding from a beautiful, as always, like Marshall puts together a beautiful show, like musically talent. Like we know those are all the things. I was like, why do I feel like this is so much R&B? Like,
really?
Because you had Blackstreet was there. I mean, Teddy Riley was there. And here's the thing. I'm also an 80s baby. So these are things that I grew up on. And it was like, oh, this is cool, but this is not what I came here for.
With the claps.
With the claps.
Okay.
Because and then I took a step back and put on my artistic lens and said, but you know what? If you were at a wedding, right? There is the like kind of, this is the wedding, because they had the ceremony on Valentine's Day, and this is like the beginning of the reception and the warm up ish, right? Like, you know, you have the slow tunes that gets everybody feeling nostalgic, and then you take it through all, you know, Marshall got hits for days, right? And he brought out, you know, some of the artists, but what I do think, going back to accessibility and like using platforms for great things, when he used to have like a couple of new artists that he'd like, you know, they had that competition, et cetera, et cetera. I think that was great. Yeah. I would have preferred to see some great new local talent versus like go through this nostalgia and big up, you know, these great American artists. Cool, I get it. But you know what? You got to do what you got to do for your paper.
But yes, but I think another I mean, at the end of the day, you have to think about, oh, well, number one, it is his wedding, so they got to do what they want. But
facts.
It's also the last one, right? So it's the last, quote unquote, last Marshall Monday. So I think that was also the reason why, okay, let's bring in, you know, everything that we've done, like, you know, remember what happened, right? Remember what Marshall did with X people. So it wasn't, you know, I don't think it was so much about the newness, but about what has been done over the years kind of thing. So maybe that's another artistic, I don't know, no? Girl. I know how you feel. Like, this, damn it, it's Trinidad Carnival. I want my Soca.
Well, not even, but here's the thing. Marshall has done a lot of blending and mixing with folks, right? And the way he couched out Riley and those guys, it was like, I found out this guy was a great producer, and I said, well, I wanted to do some things with him, and he went through what he had done, not necessarily Marshall had worked on. And I'm not gonna lie, of course I was sipping life away, so maybe I just missed some of this, but it didn't feel like a compilation of all the great things that Marshall did. It felt like, this is a great producer, and I wanted to work with this great producer, and these are some of the things that he did. And then they did a Blackstreet set, and I was like, I like the way you work it. Yes, I was, but no diggity, I want to whine.
Oh, it wasn't the song that they did together. Oh,
no, that's what I mean. Yeah,
I see.
Yeah. like literally, it was because I you know, after Marshall Monday, you hit the people who weren't standing with like what you thought, and literally my cousin and I were like, so it just seemed like a whole lot of R&B and chill thing. Okay. Visuals were great. I did like the I had not heard that Chutney song. I want a good man to marry something. Lady was lovely. So I guess, you know, I do appreciate there was still that diversity. You know what I mean? But I was, and you know, it's cool to be at the wedding ceremony, but I was just like, yeah. And you know all the jokes that people were having, like only Marshall can have a wedding and charge people for the reception. But I'm saying, let's make it lit. So okay, that was my Marshall Monday. I'm happy I went. Cool. And then I think the announcement of Melee is really, really interesting.
We can talk about that later. We're gonna talk about that later. No. Put a pin on it.
Put a pin on it, because you know my marketing hat was like, this motherfucker, genius. Talk about busting wide open. So that was Marshall Monday. We played it low key on Tuesday because again I was expecting a group of 16 coming in, and so it was like I need to prep some things. We did, however, do Punchy Punch Wednesday, and I'd never done Punchy. Okay. And I had a blasted good time. I think, you know, the thing with it's a concert fete, right? It's a concert that if you with the right people, you're fed, and it's a cooler. I was actually with Mel, Amy, the brothers, and like some other new folks that we had met in Trinidad. So it was cool. It was just like, all right, I'm happy I'm here with these great people. I don't have anything else to say. The performances were good. It was just kind of like, all right, this is cool. We had a great time. Yeah. You bring your vibes. And I think as I shift into Thursday talking about your carnival and where my group arrived, your carnival trip really is about the people you're rolling with. Because I tell people all the time, and when I say rolling with, if you are a solo dolo roller, that is okay. I know people that go to carnival by themselves and meet up with their people, and they like that fluidity and flexibility to bounce around. Yeah, I've literally, air quotes, gone to carnival by myself and just met my people at fest and gone home with my family and cool. I started with Am Beach. Had a great time. It's always a beautiful scene. I'm not gonna lie, Punchy Punch kind of hit us real hard. So for the first time, I got to Am Beach when the sun was up and the cups were done.
Oh wow,
girl! Because I'll be in Am Beach trying to open the joint up. They also, for the first time, they said no flags.
Oh, you didn't get to wave. Oh,
Gil, you know me. I found a way.
I do.
So, for those of you who don't know, if you've never met me or anyone from Soka Tribe, you may have seen us in a fete waving this huge flag. It's something that I literally have been doing since the first carnival that I went to after Soka Tribe was founded, which is 2016. And I went to the hardware store and I got me a PVC pipe and I was like, look, I don't got no budget.
Wait. This is why, because when I saw you at Hookie, I think that was the same damn year, and this chick, I gotta pull the clip up of this chick trying to get this handmade DIY pole in my car.
Listen, it's so real. And okay, let me take that back. The flag made its debut in Bienvenido, Miami, 2015. That was actually our first Soka Tribe trip. We did a little trip to Miami with like 7 people. I was freaking the hell out. It was like, oh my God.
Right.
When I think about how far we've come, it's crazy. We stayed in an Airbnb in Little Haiti. It was the year we beat the hurricane, when Hurricane Michael came. Because I was on the phone with folks, like talking to airlines, switching things. Because it was like, no, we got to get here. Because in my head, I'm like, put so much in. Like, I had literally started Soka Tribe that August. And it was like, oh my God, okay, that's 2016. I apologize. Started Soka Tribe, and I was just like, we got to get there. I got to get these people here. I can't believe I invited these people and they're not going to make it. Either which way, that's why the poll comes out. Because it's straight up, my marketing has like, people need to see this. We are in the spots. I am trying to grow a movement. The more eyeballs that we get, like the more engagement, all this other stuff. We're not going to go into the marketing lesson. That's not what y'all came for. But roll up on Am Beach, and they were like, oh, no polls. And I was like, no flags. And I was like, okay, all right. So I take the pole and I juke it under some lifeguard tent. And now I got like, my bathing suit, my cover up, and a flag cape scarf type of thing because the joint is big. Right. And I was just like, but I'm not leaving my flag out here because nah.
Right.
We go inside, I find some plastic cups at the bar, which is, I always appreciate the bartenders having them plastic cups on handy. They don't fill up as good, but you're going to do what you got to do. Fete was nice. Vibes were cool. I think I call Am Beach, it's like the early risers reunion. So the folks who were like, we know what it is. It's also a fete. I don't think it has much competing fetes at the same time. So you tend to see a lot of people that for me, I tend to see a lot of people that I know. Because once the week starts, we can be on a whole lot of different schedules, right?
Yeah.
And you know me, I found a broad back to climb. And I took that flag with me up there. And so there was no pole, but me standing on some 6-foot shoulders.
With the flag.
With that flag. Here we are, waving away. And of course, it ends up on a couple of IGs, and I'm like, you know what? Mission accomplished. If you can't find the pole, if you can't bring the pole, be the pole. Okay, so Am Beach was great. Took a nice little dip afterwards, and then after Am Beach for me, this is when it was like I had the largest influx of folks coming for arriving at our trip. So go back to the hotel. We had the idea was we're going to have a group lunch, and then we were going to do a chocolate and fashion tour, which I had actually never done. And I thought it was great. So just going around the streets in Woodbrook, there's so many little nooks and crannies and culture. We went to, of course, I'm going to pull up the name, so that we could actually engage with just more of the fetes. And what I thought was really good for the group, going back to the vibe that I was talking about, it gave us a space to talk a little bit about ourselves versus like the person you're sitting next to on the van, right? Because you are spending a lot of time doing them power naps when you're commuting. And yes, you do have a roommate on our trip. And the fact is, if you have a roommate that's strange, you may like or you may love, or you may be like, you know what? But because we did this tour, right, which was kind of like just warming up to each other, it was like hey, here's some people. This is a bit about me. This is how I got there. So I think this idea of establishing a rapport with your folks, and this is probably going to be helpful for people who are doing groups, because you know that awkward, okay, she brought her, he brought her. We don't exactly know what's going on there. But when you just create some sort of space so that you can have some sort of connection, it goes a lot. It goes really far when you're trying to look out for each other later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So after that, I've do a little surprise pop up, and this wasn't on our actual planned itinerary, but we went to, so talking about the new rural TT, if you can look that up, Shop Shari, Bene Caribe, Island Vintage Goods, and Willow and Oak. Those were a huge part of our tour. And so we were literally walking around the area. We hit Willow and Oak. I'm just going to drop the Instagrams. Island Vintage Goods, Bene Caribe, Shop Shari, and the new rural TT. We were just really experiencing the area. Our tour guide really talked about like the history of the resistance that is chocolate, which you didn't know, and I'm not going to go into that now because it's kind of off what we're talking about. But also it gave us time to kind of like bond as a crew before we went out. So we did was a pop-up surprise fete. It was like, hey guys, this great fete called Luau. It is a food inclusive. I will say the food spread there was lit. I really liked the venue. It was multiple levels. I would say with multiple level venues and cooler fetes, it's kind of dangerous because you got people getting lit as hell and going up and down these stairs.
Yes.
But because the venue, it was at La Soledad Estate, was so intimate, it felt like the performers were like with us. Ended up seeing Nyla was there. The Sailor Overboard man was there. Did we see Pretty there as well? Lord, I blank it. It was such a blend. But I do remember Nyla crushing. I think that's actually the only time I saw her when I was in Trinidad. So that's probably why it's sticking with me so much. But had a great time there. Food was flowing, drinks was flowing because we brought the coolers. And it was a good warm-up fete for folks who, like, they had essentially gotten off a plane early today. They got some history, some culture. They made new friends. And then it was like, oh, we in a party. Oh, wow. Look at these people. Oh, it's a beautiful scenery. Oh, there's food. There's so many different types of food I can try. So that was great. Our next fete was actually, so Friday morning. So some folks did go to Tribe Ignite, had a great time. Tribe Ignite, it's a sturdy DJ fete. Like, they're going to be lots and lots of people. It's another one of those reunion. It's easy access. You can get your ticket online. So it's not, you got to fight up for a unicorn ticket. Go and have a great time. I, however, needed to nap because, as I mentioned, Soka Tribe is committed to the historical aspect of Carnival. So we did take a group to the Camboulet riots. We have optional parts of our trip, right? Like, actually, every part of the trip is optional. We just, as part of the itinerary, we went to the Camboulet riots, which are essentially the roots and history of Carnival. In the 1800s, they tried to do away with our right to actually have Carnival, and the people rose up and we fought. Yes. In the streets fighting with the police folks, and they were like, "Yeah, nah, we got to get them their things." So for those of you who don't realize it, Carnival is a right, it is a privilege, and while it is easy accessible, relatively, to people, it is something that is revered because like our ancestors literally fought and died for it.
So about Kimberley riots,
sure,
is that something that you just go? Is it something you have to pay for, or you just go to the area where it's happening?
So the Kimberley reenactment happens on an annual basis on Friday at Piccadilly Square. So you don't it's free and open to the public, and it really is like a multi-generational like experience. So you will see like all the aunties and grandparents and down to like all of the kids, which is also something nice to see. You know what I mean? Like it's good to see like the elders like kind of like, all right, they had seen it before, right? Unless they're tourists, as well as like bringing the young kids out so that they get a better understanding. Because I think, there's just something about knowing where you came from and understanding it that makes you have a greater appreciation for it. It's free. What I will say about timing, there's limited seating. And so if you want to sit down, you probably need to be out there like 2:30, 3 o'clock. Because once the seats are gone, the seats are gone, and they're stand seating. I found myself in a nice little nook on the floor between the barricade, like literally underneath. I was in the crack by the barricades, And, like, I was watching performers, like they was blowing smoke, and I was like, let me lean back real quick,
Right.
blowing fire. But most of the group were there about halfway through the performance, because there's a part of the performance that's on an elevated stage. When that part was done, they let people go up there, so most of the group went up there, and it was only a few. It was only a handful of folks felt like they was going to get up that early in the morning and go anyway. But the fact is, the option is there.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely, because I've never been. All right. So what happened after Kimberly riots?
Girl, we had to sit down. We didn't need a seat. Because remember, they came in, they ate, they had that pop-up set, and then we went early to this, and then we were, resting a bit to prepare for Fuck It. And I don't even know, it's been about 3 years probably since I've been to Fuck It, and I was like, oh, this party is great.
Oh yeah, I love that fit.
Why did I leave? I'm like,
to experience other things. I mean, it was acceptable.
This is very true, because you only have a certain amount of time slots. But it had, like, the DJs, the hype folks were off the chain. It was actually my first outdoor set. It was at Anchorage Beach House. So the fact that it was under something, and it was a day where it was one of those, it's peekaboo raining. So I appreciated that. The food stalls were set up outside. Food was on point. The drinks were flowing. They had the specialty bars and stuff. I really, really, really had a good time. From the fact that there was an actual salad bar, like I'm talking chopped salad bar, to, you had your roast pork and, like, your Chinese Trinity food on the side. So great spread, great alcohol, great vibes. What I appreciated about this, it was definitely, it felt like an experienced Fetters party. So I do think the demographic was a little bit older, but it wasn't like older and stuffy. It was like, look, we've been doing this for years, now we come to jump. Ready for it.
I can say, I mean, back when we were going, like, that was another reunion set. And I think because, like, other things have popped up, we've kind of just migrated to other things that I love, like that DIY bar, the drink bar that you can just make your own drinks, and they just have liquor up there ready to pour, and the food options. Like, I love that fit. Oof, okay.
It was great, and they had a lot of play. Like, they had the little station where you could pop it, because the whole taking pictures, because everybody living their life for the Grammys.
Yeah.
They had those too, and desserts. Like, I was pleased. Come back in after that, and what I will say was, we did our official itinerary only had 3 all-inclusives, but we threw in that extra cooler. The next day we did Soca Brainwash. So blast, per usual, visuals were on point, DJs were lit, the crowd was wowzers. That is definitely also another reunion set. I always tell people, I'm like, this is the family reunion of Trinidad Carnival, because it is we might be on a whole bunch of different schedules, but there are some boat rides that I do believe that compete with Soca Brainwash. And I'm not going to say compete. There are alternative options, but most people that you want to see, at the very least, if you're not playing different bands, you're always like, well, you know what? I'll see your Brainwash, because that's the one fete that we're all going to go to together. We were right up in the front, waving and jamming per usual. So I will say, it seemed larger this year, like in terms of, like, the space, because I also did not see a lot of people. It just felt like I was walking forever to get to the back. And I saw a bunch of people out there like, yeah, I saw you in the flag, but it was so far up. I don't know, did they extend things? Did they put us on a different side of the grounds? Whatever.
Right.
The lines, per usual, we got there just in time so that, like, we can actually get to food and then, get a good base and then go enjoy the libations for the rest of the day. Because them lines, whew.
There were lines?
For food, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So it must have grown for real, because I've never, unless it's just me getting there and setting up with the DJ, but I've never waited that long in a line for
because
food.
I know you, I'm going to tell you that it is partially because of the time that you arrived. So we've party enough for me to tell you right now that is it. Because for the last few years, there have been like lines for food. And here's the thing, they had multiples of the same thing, but there's just so many people. But the interesting thing is, because the space was big, if you didn't want to be ram jam, you didn't have to be.
Okay.
And there was still like vibesy everywhere. I did not explore all the different stations because, again, at this time, this was the first trip I had a lot more Carnival virgins.
Mm-hmm.
And so my like, where you at? Was on.
Yeah.
So that was that. After Brainwash, what do we call it? I'm trying to think. Yes, we had some folks actually made it to Panorama.
Okay.
So cheers for indulging in the culture. Again, options. Me, however, I wanted to bond with my pillow because returning back to Vail Vibe, bright and early in the morning. Like, we got to Vail Vibe while the sun was not up yet. But, you come in, we made our food rounds. I guess you guys are probably starting to hear a trend, like to get there a little bit early, make the food rounds, get the taste of all the things I want to taste, then start liquoring up. Had a blast.
Great.
This was actually my most favorite Vail experience. I had left the Fete for a couple of years.
Same.
Because it is it's the original Breakfast Fete. It was one of the first ones. It started with a very small, intimate community, and then it grows. When things grow from that way, like the air is a little bit different, but it definitely felt way warmer and more welcome, and everybody's having a great time. They had Blue Devils out there. What they did was really what I really appreciated. From early, they had masqueraders with backpacks on the lawn, Moko Jumbies, and the Blue Devils on the grass. Oh, wow. So it was like there's entertainment happening. There's something for us to see. People were taking pictures from early. So that you get to the Fete too early and it's like, okay, it's me and ZJ, what is happening? Right. There was some sort of engagement. It's
that's
true.
Good. I mean, that's it. No, I know, because when I used to go to Vail, it used to be like, it was you, the people who were organizing the event. It was the people, handing out all the goodies, which is another reason why I used to go early. And then a lot of grass, right?
Mad grass.
Mad grass. And then, you just head to the food stations, and then there was like, okay, that was it. You're just people watching and eating. So
right. So it was really good to have that like live entertainment.
Good.
What threw me, right? So we had given out Soka Tribe cups in our welcome packages. And I was like, oh, don't bring a cup. This is all inclusive. We got there, girl. There was no official Vail cup. I was like, no.
Are you serious?
However, girl, I was cracking. I laughed at myself. I just had to laugh at myself. However,
they need to prepare people for stuff like that. Like, it's not going to be like because we're used to certain things. And then when I come to this and you don't give me.
After I told these people, leave the cup, the nice big mug with a cover, a handle, and a straw.
Oh my gosh.
About these things.
Yes.
In your house.
That would have pissed me off. Oh.
Listen, but at these point in time, you just got to suck it in.
I know.
I saw Ciroc was giving, let me tell you how I was like, I need 6 drinks. I don't care. I need 6 of these drinks because they come with pretty light up cups. And I'm like, I'm going to shove this back to the crew. Because it's just one of, you know what I mean? Like, I felt bad that they were there. Like, but we had cups and now we don't have cups. No one complained. But in my head, I'm like, we're going to provide some solutions.
Right.
So a couple of the alcohol brands, I think it was Ciroc, Grey Goose. You see, this is a vodka trend. Had provided things. So it's like there were things to get. There were some cute champagne glasses, et cetera, et cetera. But it wasn't the usual, you come in the Fete, you get a cup.
Yeah.
But they had fans, sunglasses, and all these other little tchotchke things that were cute. So we got to talk about it really quickly because I'm sure you saw the surfboard video.
I've seen a number of surfboard videos.
Okay, so at Vail.
Okay.
The crowd diving video, not the surfboard. So crowd diving video. We were there. She did have underwear, which is fine. The problem is when you jump into a crowd, right? Because here's what happens. So they're like, oh, we need somebody to dive. We need somebody to dive, right? And we got bodies in our crew, right? Shout out to our trophy folks. So they went out to dive. This other girl got up there first. She had on, I don't remember if it was like fluttery shorts, like kind of like skaterboard shorts, so that there's space, or a skirt. Either which way, it was a lot of space for things to fly up. But when they also flied up, right? Think about it. We are healthy women. Things go into crevices. Yes. So yes, she might have been wearing drawers, but a lot of things were not in. And so if you were like, I'm saying I'm there seeing firsthand, it was like, whoa, and everybody turned. So like, if you look at the videos, I'm standing, there are two girls, there's the DJ, the announcer DJ, there's Jazz, our girl Mealy. So they were about to surfboard next. Homegirl jumped. We also, everybody's like, oh, because it's just like, she probably didn't know all of that was out, but it were things that were exposed, and it was just kind of like, so what was interesting is watching the guys take her away, but not look like, oh no.
Oh God.
Which it could have been worse, but it was like, okay. So after that, this was, I would say, another reason why it was like an awesome ass Fest Fest, because like two people in our crew literally jumped and dived into the crowd. Jazz ended up with a couple of minutes not minutes, but seconds on the mic, hyping the crowd, because then the DJ dived while she was on the mic, and I was like, this is awesome. This is
epic, right?
Like, never have I ever experienced all this at a Vail party. And then the hose. I feel like I might have got it fluttered by like an air machine. There was full on water hose jamming in Vail.
That's different.
Very different.
How does that work? Because I know a lot of people are not coming prepared for that.
Huh. Girl, I also had Blue Devil paint on me. How did that happen? The Blue Devil also said, "Either Flagman, give me the pole." Girl, why he broke a yard off my pole?
Oh no! Now you got to go back to Home Depot.
Girl, I was like, he started waving it so wild, the joint just snapped, and I was like,
"Oh my God!"
Okay, but of course this is Carnival Sunday, ain't nothing open Carnival Monday, Tuesday. So we had a shorter pole, which my shoulder and my therapist are all going to kick my tail for. Come return back to the US. Okay, but again, needless to say, Vail was a whole vibe.
Vail sounds like amazing. Mm-hmm.
We took a picture at the end. It was like only tickets only beyond this point. And so it was like, now we got to cover it. Soka Tribe only beyond this point. And it was like that point where the team was like, yeah, now we just earned, they owe us nothing. We took everything. Nice. So that was great.
Except the cup.
Okay, except the cup. Just facts. Y'all can ship it to the cups. P.O. Box 3383 DC 20010. So that was great. Then after Vail, we actually went back to the hotel for a bit, and we did the March Gras. I have not. So for those of you who don't know, the March Gras is a competition between the kings and queens. Mm-hmm. They also have different presentations from performing groups. Actually, Masho, Bungie, and Rudder performed before we left at half of the show, right?
Oh, wow.
So it's in the stadium. It's seated by sections, etc. But like these, when they say this costume is 35 feet tall by 30 feet wide, and it was gorgeous. There was also,
and for this is it free? I'm just trying to educate the people.
Of course. This one is not free. This one, I think it was like a 200 TT ticket. It's inexpensive because all you're getting is the show. But to get those three artists, and like, they were like literally performances, it was like choruses, they had the choreo, the little kids. It was great to just kind of be there in that space. Mm-hmm. And I had not been to a large costume competition since like being in the back of the museum when like my folks was up there on stage. Mm-hmm. So it was very nostalgic for me. I definitely enjoyed it. And I was like, I missed this, because when you come and you're in from fete to fete to fete to fete, and you're then in your band, because you don't want to lose your band on the road, right, you don't get to see that part of Carnival. And it was just a nice breather to see the mask, to see like, you see the effort, blood, sweat, and tears. These costumes, like these women, because we only stayed for the Queen section because we need to take a nap for Juve. I'm going to be real about it. Carrying, just it was. I definitely am like, it was hard to get to leave the hotel. Mm-hmm. and forego like just a little bit more rest time, but it was so like, wow, gorgeous. If you have time and space in your schedule, it's a very cheap ticket. It's a long show, so you can catch a part of it just to kind of be in that space. So then we play We Heart Juve for the first time, y'all.
Oh, I played with them once. I loved it.
Facts.
I loved it.
You know, there is a connection between the performers, promoters, between fucking and We Are. Like, so same vibe. We walked in, and usually, especially if we get to a party early, Soka Tribe and Co. And I'll say and Co. In our extended family, y'all know who y'all is. We love you to death. Thank you every day. We be the littiest, acting the craziest, right? I got there and I was like, who's these people? I want them too. Like, it was just a great from jump. So this is before the paint started. Like, people walked into this fest like, yo, we've been waiting all year for this Juve jam. And that is a different feeling. The great thing about Carnival, going back to the vibe that you bring to the experience, and people like I'm bewildered when I meet people who be like, oh my God, well, this was whack. And I was like, well, it might have been whack because you had the whack and that was a you thing. And, you know, you want to come in with this open mind and be ready to create your own party, create that space. Like, that's what Carnival gives, the space to create. But folks came in there like, I am here. I am present. I am in this moment. I'm ready to jump. I'm ready to jam. I'm ready to sing. And it was like, wow. Then the paint started going. They had fireworks at the pre-party.
Oh, wait, no, yeah, I remember that. Yes,
and I was like, oh, this is amazing. Y'all could get my money again.
I remember good doubles and roti I think at the end we went back to the same spot.
True story. We didn't get back to the breakfast, and I'm not gonna lie.
Oh no.
So this makeup situation. This is it's the gift and the curse of coming with a really large crew, right? Logistically, it is impossible to move a large mass of people, get them with faces beat. When, as I did a live chat a few weeks ago, there's 30 seconds between Juve ending and Carnival Monday morning. Especially if you're leaving with one of the regular bands. For the last few years, I had played with Rogue, which leaves a little bit later, so we would have got a smidget more time.
Yeah,
but you gotta go. And so,
how many people were in your group this year?
16.
Oh, okay.
Right. And yeah. I would say 14 to 16 because there were people who had stayed with us but didn't decide that they weren't going to do the whole package. It's a whole other story. We're probably not going to do that next year. Either which way. Let's go with 14 that needed to get faces. We had a dude. 13 people just in terms of prepping and monitoring and moving masses of people, especially everybody's not on the same level, right? Like, I feel like what would be really interesting would be to like go to Carnival with a run crew. So like all y'all fit, all y'all got this stamina, all y'all are moving, right?
Yeah.
But when you have people who've like never tried things before and they just generally like not there, where it's like, oh, we're about to walk a half a mile like it's nothing. You know what I mean? You got to keep them into consideration because that could really dampen somebody's trip when it's like, oh my God, physically, I cannot.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I will definitely say that I had a lot of, like, last year was a rocky health year for me. And so I physically was like not where I usually am for Carnival. And it's just one of those, okay, now I'm even more cognizant about it because I'd been either just on my joint for so long. It's like, okay, this is what we do. But because I had that lull, because I couldn't work out and all those times, it was just like, wow. So when you're thinking about moving this many people and giving enough time so that things are still running smoothly, it's like, yeah, so should Juve breakfast didn't happen. We did have breakfast included at our hotel. So it was kind of like, okay, cool. This works-ish. And then it was like, bam, off to makeup. And now here we are at Carnival Monday, ready for the road. And then it's does my one day wear fit? What am I wearing? What does my makeup look like? Let's try to take some pictures before we go.
What do I do with this piece? How do I put this on?
Well, that was Carnival Tuesday. Carnival Monday, where we actually did.
That's true.
We had some custom stuff built by Carnival Info Store, and so a bulk of the ladies in the crew, we had, like, when they got their costumes when they arrived, they also had their Monday wear. My direction was try on your joints. Try on everything. You know, always tell people, try it on, jump, take a nasty one. But you know, people will open that box and be like, yeah, I tried it on. until Carnival Tuesday come and you got a line out your door like, wait, where does this go? And I'm like, but we talked about this 4 days ago. Hello. But again, it's part of the experience, right? Like you don't know until you know. And I think just in general, there's a lot of things going on. People are overwhelmed. So in my head, I'm like, I gotta find some way to like give a prize or like some sort of contest or who can put their own costume on first and like let's take pictures just so that
without
people
help
actually do it. Because Carnival Tuesday, I'm also putting on a costume. I mean, Jazz is also doing her thing. So Jazz, those you don't know, is a chief in Soka Tribe, and she accompanied me on the trip as well. And it's just like, bruh, it's not just you, it's everybody. But you know what? We had a blast. We looked beautiful. I can't wait to get the pictures back and sharing. We played Mass with Tribe. This is the first year back with Tribe in a long time. Went back for the large band, trying to get the artists on the truck. Like, you know, we literally crossed the stage on Carnival Tuesday with Iowa George and Marshall singing live. Like, I mean, that's one of those things like, oh, okay. So I was finally got his, you know, you got the reigning Soca Monarch King. And then, you know, we knew he was going to Road March and like the newly married and Nikki came on the mic and she was like, yeah, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh, you can't curse. She's like, I'm going to get in trouble. And I was like, this is all a little bit too much. Again. Oh my God. Yeah, exactly. That's how I felt about it. The face you just made is why we friends. And so that was great. But it was, I feel like, and maybe I just didn't take enough laps around the rest stops. I feel like when I used to play with Tribe back in the day, it seemed like there were more amenities at the rest stop. I thought it was cool that there was a backpack check-in. But I'm like, where's the massage table? I would distinctly remember there being like 2 massage tables and a sign-up. I didn't see it this time. I love the little blow-up thing. You know, there's this trend of, it looks like a banana and you can like lay in it.
Yes.
They had a few of those, but it's like those are the things you want to like ramp up, have a lot of those versus some other things because people like that's a desired need. But you know, the jams were good. They were there. I thought was that Monday or Tuesday? It's all blur. At some point in time, Young Chow was on the truck and we're chipping and then Lyrical's chipping by and he's like, Lyrical. And then Lyrical grabs the flag and starts waving. I'm like, oh yes, can somebody get a shot? But you know, at this point in time, the sun's going down and Sherm's had a bit. And so when y'all see the video, don't judge me.
We won't.
That's all I'm gonna say. But definitely Bungie and fam was in the band, like literally chipping on the road. So like that was cool. So it was a good time, but it is a big band. And for a person who likes to I like to play a mass. And for those of you who don't know, when I say play a mass, I mean, I am shipping with my legs. Literally each step is about half a yard. I'm swinging this flag. My arms is open. That's playing a mass to me. You know what I mean? Yes, I'm whining and jumping. And I did my, you know, annual climb a wall. I think because I climbed a shoulder in Am Beach, I skipped it on the road this year. We'll get back to it next year. Don't worry. But it wasn't the space to do that. And so there's just something to think about. Yeah,
I learned that and I haven't played with Tribe. I played with Yuma before. And then the next time, actually, I've only played Mass once in Trinidad. But yeah, when I stormed Tribe on the Monday, I was like,
yeah, you stormed Tribe with the yellow.
Yeah, I was like, I remember. I can't do this. Like, this is too many people. And I think we are on the same level of needing to play a mass. And I'm just like, dude, if I can't even whine properly, but like, I can't even walk, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't stretch my arms out without getting hit by somebody. Like, that is an issue. For me. So that is probably one of the reasons why I won't play with them or any big band. I do, however, I am being pulled to play mass with Lost Tribe. And I don't know how big they are, right? But I'm assuming that it's a lot. It has to be more space than the regular Tribe.
It's definitely smaller. It is
good.
It is
that's what I need. That's what I need.
It is definitely smaller. Definitely
But
smaller. I
yeah,
don't know the number wise, but it is definitely smaller.
good.
And I could totally see. I got some thinking and stewing to do about next year. Is all I'm gonna say on that. We're gonna put a huge pin in that. We'll put a thumbtack in that joint and circle back.
Lovely.
And then on Ash Wednesday, we actually went to we did last lap. That's also I always tell people. I tell everybody in the group. I said, listen, people did trickle off during both days in terms of going home, which is normal, right? Like everybody ain't built for the whole road. But I was letting motherfuckers know, look, I am finishing last lap. I don't know what you are doing, what you were doing, but I waited all year for this. And that is usually at the point in time in the trip where everybody becomes so self-sufficient. I can finally like a little more. Yeah. So, yep, we closed that joint down and I had a great time. I also got my snack, that end of the road snack, which you usually get there too late. I got there in time to get that. Y'all see my belly be running my trips, right? And then on Ash Wednesday, we actually started our lime at Las Cuevas, which, was God sent in that the water was calmer. It was literally like when we got there was nobody else on the beach. And when you roll into the beach with like 9, 10 people, because some people did go home, that's lovely. Yeah. We had like a section, chairs and umbrellas. And we got enough relaxation in. And then I was like, okay, because again, trying to give people I didn't want anyone to leave Trinidad feeling like they missed out on something. Although FOMO was real. So I was like, we're going to drive y'all through a Maracas, see what Maracas looks like. And so we went back after we had enough relaxation and naps and in and out of the waters, we drove down to Maracas. I was like, we're not going to set up because at this point in time, it was like maybe 4 PM and Maracas was already thick and thick and turn up. But I was like, this is the traditional line. Like, this is where like it's popping and hopping. But I was like, I knew our crew needed R&R. And so they were on the side. But they saw it. They was like, okay, this is cool. We had our beach time. We got in that van, KO. And then people started shuttling out. Some of us came to Tobago on Thursday, which wasn't an official part of the trip, but as there were still folks who were on the trip who had never been here, you know how that is. But it was cool. And that was my carnival.
Thank you. That was a lot. And so I was keeping track of everything that you were saying. So you just listed 19 activities from the time that you touched down.
Well, it was 20. I also went to the Guardian Group work party, which is the best ever. Find you a friend that works at the Guardian Group. Go to their work party.
So 20 things. So that's a lot. And I think when people are planning, like if you want to plan like a real deal Trinidad experience, you need that time. I think the first year that I went, it was like damn near 2 weeks. Yeah. Damn near 2 weeks that I was there. And of course you can do Carnival differently. But if you're going as a virgin or someone, just going as a virgin or with not that much experience, you need like the full thing. And I always say like virgin, you need to play Mass in Trinidad at least once.
At least once.
You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be a every year thing if that's not your flow, like mine, but because I'm always on this budget. But you need to do it at least one time. The next time I'm probably going to be in Lost Tribe. Let me start saving my money now for like 2022, 2023, whatever that is. But yeah. So that was hearty. So I want to talk about your 2021 planning, and from an organizer perspective, how do you even manage that? Like, were there any horror stories? Like, so I just read Global Carnivalist's recap of her experience from Trinidad, and she signed up with a concierge service who kind of was really in charge of orchestrating her trip for her, and there were a number of bumps. So did you experience that with any of your people? How do you manage that? What's your planning like? I mean, just kind of walk through it with me.
So I worked with a logistic partner. So that's one. I spend a lot of time in the marketing, as you guys probably get from listening to this. But I do have an ops consulting background, right? So from GP, it's like you take care of the big blocks, I would say. So like your accommodations and your transportation on the ground, because those are the major things. And then everything in between in terms regards of fet tickets and costumes, it's very relational driven in Trinidad. Especially when you get to like the unicorn fets and the like all inclusive bands that like everybody wants to be in, and even as big as they are, they're still selling out. I think the biggest challenge for me as an organizer is the lack of education of the consumer. Because people are like, well, I could just pay and I'm like, it's not about how much money you have. It's about, is there availability? And do we have access to that? And I think just that people getting into this space of like, oh, I can pay and buy whatever I want to, makes people think like, well, I paid all this money, so I should. And I'm like, but it doesn't work that way. And it also doesn't work on your schedule. So I think for me, well, for us, it was a lot of the managing those types of things and educating people like, that's not exactly how it works here. It would seem like it would work that way, or it should be fine. I would say there are the challenges of like when, if there's a hotel that don't want to have no AC, and it's like, as an organizer, it's like you do as much as you can. Like my fiance is going back to the house and bringing back fans, but in my head, I'm like, that's not something he should have had to do. You know what I mean? But you're there, and it's about like putting out that fire and making sure that things are okay. Or when the costumes don't fit, which goes back to like, let's try things on. Let me tell you how I had glue gun in hand. I'd sewed, I'd added padding, I have lined headbands, I've poked new holes in wire bras. And it's just like, these are things that come up. But for me, I'm not looking at it as, oh my God, it's a nightmare. It's, I know what to do. I just need to do it.
Yeah, but those are things that are those are things that are in your control. Like, so when your group so how do you do the Fet tickets for your group? Are you just informing them of what's happening and they go out and buy it themselves? No. Or do you buy like as a collective?
When you get the Soka Tribe group trip package, and this is why I've been pushing to people to get, this is a group trip. So like, you are signing up for what is on our schedule, right? And when we advertise as, you know, and I'm going to give you what the 2020 schedule, which 2021 will look very similar, but just, you know, for argument's sake, because we don't have anything on paper and I don't want to lead people astray. It was, you have double room occupancy, round trip ground transport to the airport, on the ground to all of our Soka Tribe events. We have cultural activities. So we listed the things like the Marsh Gras, the Camberley Riots, the Beach Lime, and the tour, which is, again, I talked about in our trip. 3 all-inclusive fets, Juve package, Monday and Tuesday, all-inclusive band, right? Because the thing that happens is, I'll never forget the first year we did our trip. And we list them in that way because being in this business long enough, or seeing how it goes, things change. So I want you to know that when you sign up, you're signing up with a group that is going to make sure that you're going to have a great time. We got you. These are the types of experiences you're going to have. And we're going to fight to make sure that you can get the best for what is out there, right?
I like that.
It just makes sense, right? Like,
because
shit changes.
Shit just changes, but I like the fact that it's fine. You can cuss on here. I like the fact that it's slightly vague, right? But you're like, you know what? I'm not specifically naming which fets there are. But I can tell you what it's going to be, right? So it may not be Soca Brainwash, but it's going to be another, all-inclusive. So that way you're covering your ass. I respect it. But I guess when you get to it, go ahead.
I'm sorry to cut you off. So what happened? So that's a contractual obligation, and I say that way because, you know, I don't want nobody coming for me. Like the year they canceled Wind Down.
Oh yeah.
First of all, my heart was broken because I'd experienced my first Wind Down the previous year, and that we had planned the trip so that whether or not you were leaving on Wednesday or Thursday, we did kind of like a flexible last day of the trip. So if you had the time, you could get a ticket to Wind Down. If you didn't have the time, you could get like a PCD or something that was into Trinidad. You know what I mean? So just thinking about it broadly. But if I connect your trip package to a fete that gets canceled or something happens or people pull out tickets. Cause I don't know if you were with us that year, but there was a year Amy and I got tickets from a certain concert group. I'm not gonna knock no names, but we were literally outside the fete and
I was there.
girl
yep.
exactly was like, oh, I don't got your tickets. What?
Yep. I was there.
And promoters blank people. Like that happened with us for a particular friend. I'm not going to name any names. And it was like literally to the end, the last minute. And I'm like, all right, no, let's go into disaster mode because we can say, and I do tell people the fetes that we plan to go to, but the fact is always based on availability. Right. And I am not the promoter of any of these fetes. Right. I am okay with not being that person. You know what I mean? And what I commit to is you are going to have a bomb experience and I'm going to do all things to make sure that happens, which does include procuring spaces in the best events that are available. So as I was saying, I'm not going to put my head in a block when it can easily get chopped off if some person just decides like, that's not it. And going back to the consumer education of Carnival and how it works, it's like, yo, I could have done all the things that needed to get done. Somebody could have looked me dead in my face and been like, yeah, I got you. And then, like remember that year, we paid this woman money, thought we were good. And it is the day of the fete. And she's like, oh, well, you got to find it yourself. What? And because I'm a good Christian woman, you know, if I ain't saying my names, but. Right. And so I again, like, when I tell you, like, you sign up with, like, we got you, trust a little. Carnival takes a little bit of faith and trust.
It takes a lot of it.
About that love.
A lot of it.
Because you just gotta go with some things. And I always say, pay attention and read. But people, let me tell you, people don't. People be like, oh, this is what I thought. I heard what I wanted to hear, and move on.
Oh God.
All right, sorry. Let me not go down any rabbit holes. But yeah, so from a planning perspective, it's bulk things. You sign up for our group trip. We tell you what the factors of the trip are. And as we get closer,
you get specifics.
You get more details. So we pretty much sign you up. Like, you get signed up for, this is what the group is doing. And as things get confirmed, we roll out the schedule. We actually drop the trip like right after Carnival. So if you're interested, Tingz Nights will have the link. But if you want to know when the trip drops, go to bit.ly/goingtrini2021. And that's where the sign up will be for when we actually open the trip for next year. And obviously it is going to be a limited amount of spaces available just because we can't manage all the folks that want to go. So my suggestion is sign up early. We put you on a payment plan. So by the time like November, you got no worries. Because when you come with us by November, you know your itinerary, your costumes, your section, who's your roommate, all that other stuff. Because again, as we get we can plug the holes in. So like, yes, we're starting with, okay, we're going to have 3 all-inclusives. Once we get the ticket secure, we're adding it to the itinerary. Once the itinerary is completed, because we have tickets in hand, we have secured all the things, we're communicating that to you. Because what I don't like to do is go back on what I have said. Like, I'm like, call it the Brooklyn me, like, word is bond. And so I operate my business as such. It is, because I think what happens is people operate with they have different, I would say, relative levels of integrity. And that's just not okay. Because like Soka Tribe is hitting year 5 because people know you get what you pay for. I'm going to be straight and direct with you. Because we do all that we can do, but the miracles and trying to overpromise and underdeliver, that's not our space.
Preach it, girl.
Listen, because people will do it. Like,
they do it. They do it
all the time. I made a joke and I was giving a panel. This is I know it's crazy to have a favorite one-liner, but I was like, look, in negotiations, you have to be careful. People will promise you the world and give you a map. And that happens all the time. Because here's the fact is, a map is the world. It is. But you and I both know when
that's not what I meant.
You expected 3D, mountains, rivers, but they be like, here's this picture. And you're like, wait, huh? And I don't ever want anyone to say that about us. So yeah, that is how the planning goes. Stay tuned as we roll things out. Very, very excited about it. Because this year was such a great experience. And it also had a more diverse group of people. As I mentioned, we had a lot of virgins. We did have some veterans. So people who came back with us this year, who came from last year, people who had never traveled with us and traveled with other people who came with us this year.
Mm-hmm.
And just seeing how the cruise moved allowed me to understand how to better prepare people beforehand, as well as things that we could do on the ground to kind of manage things. Like, I was making all them jokes about costumes, but figuring little things like that out early makes Tuesday a smoother process.
Absolutely.
Like, and it's all about like the ops background and me kicking in like, okay, wait, there's a bottleneck and I.
Girl, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you in operations. That's why I'm just like, I respect the process, because I'm like, again, listening to Globey's recap and watching her sit down with the gentleman in charge of that concierge, and he's just apologizing, and he's just thinking like things that had went wrong. And in my head, I'm like, but how did this happen? Like, like whose man's is this? Like, so many questions. So I'm just like, yeah, I appreciate.
I gotta listen to this podcast.
Yeah, you got to go listen to her. Go to her blog post that she put out yesterday. But yeah, so I respect your approach with the way that you go about that. All right, Soka Tribe 2021. So, ma'am, thank you so much for sharing your 20 activity Trinidad Carnival recap with the people. When the hell am I going to see you next in person? Hello? Sherm. All right, y'all. I definitely just lost her. So we're going to peace out, but I think you got it all. Oh, she can hear me. I can't hear her. But so she's saying, DC, some event, something's happening April 24th in NYC. She has classes coming up. Okay. I'm going to put all this in the show notes. And she also has her, if you haven't subscribed to her information, make sure you do so at Soka Tribe with K.com and sign up for her newsletters. And she'll have one that's going out today with the information for this podcast episode. Holler. Thank you, Sherms. All links going to be on Instagram. Go and vote. What are they voting for? This is hilarious. She's literally texting. Oh, the best of DC dance class. Got you. All right, we out. This is probably the longest episode that I've ever done. Love you, Lieta. Big up on herself. All right, so before I let you go, I have to give you that feedback from other people. So I have a number of listeners who have submitted voice notes and submitted their recap of their Trinidad Carnival 2020 experience. So listen up to hear what they had to say.
Hi, this is Charmaine from Culture Shock with Charm podcast, and I was in Trinidad for Carnival. And I only did Monday as I had to fly out on Tuesday, but my experience overall was good. My worst event that I went to was Suits Trinidad, which I felt like it was the Fire Festival of Trinidad this year, because they did not have a boat. And I felt a little bamboozled because we got to the dock and we were taken to a barge. Some people missed the boat, didn't get on the barge. Some people didn't get on the boat. They didn't get armbands. It was a little frustrating being stuck on the barge in the middle of the ocean. But I had fun overall. Yuma was a vibe. It was great. It was happy. It was fun. And Soca Brainwash was my best event. And Vale Breakfast Party was really good. So overall, I had fun.
This was my second Trinidad Carnival in a row. I went last year. I had a blast. Last year I played with Tribe. I did Juve with Red Ants, and that was amazing. This year, I had an excellent time as well, but I wasn't there as long as I was the previous year. It was a quick in and out trip. Got there Saturday, left early Tuesday morning, so I couldn't even do Tuesday Mass. But got there on Saturday afternoon, touchdown, went straight to Soca Brainwash. Was easily able to get tickets right outside the venue. Was a little worried about the dudes. They look shady, but those tickets got me in the party, so that was good. Feel like we got there just in time. Food was still being served. It wasn't difficult getting to the bar. And I love the Oriental theme. Like, the women were looking real tasty in their geisha robes, or the geisha girl robes, or what have you. I thought I was dip. I had the Oriental collar shirt, and it was just a fly event. It was real fly. It wasn't as hot as it was last year. That was important. They had a different element. They threw powder around this year. I like that. That was fun. I like the accessories they gave everybody. That was cool too. So Brainwash was I think it's a must do for every carnival that I go to, simply because it's the only type of fet that's like that. I like it. Next, what did I do Saturday? Saturday we just ended up at Frankie's, um, checking out the avenue, looking at all the people. I'm not really interested in that though. It's just too packed for me, and ain't enough movement, ain't enough dancing. It's more people watching. That's cool. I was tired. I went home, went to bed, woke up, and did Sunny Side Up breakfast fet. Now it was hot as hell for the most part of this, and I don't even know if breakfast fet is in the title. That's what I considered it because it was Sunday morning, but it was real light on the breakfast. The breakfast wasn't 100. I think you got one free doubles, and you got a choice between some other whack stuff like a tuna fish sandwich that looked dry, and that was terrible. And the heat almost made this party insufferable. And I forgot my sweat rag, which was the stupidest thing to do. But the heat made it hard to dance and enjoy it until this is where the party picked up. They pulled the foam out. It became a foam party in one section of the party, and that I loved. I had never been at a foam party before, but I was out in there getting lost in there, and there were some really good participants in the foam madness. I loved that part of that party. That redeemed the party for me, and it cooled me down. So that was a plus. That night we were supposed to go to Best Line, um, and we get there. I think we was a little late. We might have been 2 hours late. But when we get there, it's mad people outside. They not letting nobody in. Apparently they was over capacity for the party. That's trash. I'm like, how can you sell too much tickets at a carnival fet? Like, it's way too much space in there. Sell the right amount of tickets so everybody can get in there. So that was a waste. Ended up going home after that, going to sleep, getting up, and doing Juve with Vibes. I'd never heard of them because we booked so late. Didn't get to play Red Ants or any other bands we wanted to do, so we ended up doing Vibes. That was good vibes. I'm not gonna front. It wasn't the legions of people that I like, or how many trucks did Red Ants have? The 5 trucks or whatever trucks. It wasn't tons of trucks, but there was vibes. Everybody was lively. They got us real dirty, and they got us wet at the end. And they fed us Kentucky Fried Chicken at the end, by the way. That was premium. Way better than those cheese sandwiches that Red Ants gave us last year. Fast forward. So after Juve, we didn't do anything. We had them going to bed because we had to get up to do Monday Road March, Monday Mass. We played Monday Mass with Entice. Now, we only had a day pass, but we only had a pass for the day for Monday because I had to leave on Tuesday, didn't get a costume, so we paid for just the Monday opportunity. Probably could have joined them on Tuesday, but I would have been without a costume. But Monday, with Entice, it was okay. I mean, the people looked good and everything. The music was fine, but it wasn't enough people for me. And they had way too many trucks for the amount of people. I like what Tribe offers. I like the tons of people. I like what I keep calling them, the legions of people destroying the city, marching on the city. I love that. That's what I loved about Tribe. That was a workout. And Tice wasn't for me. So we ended up storming Bliss. We ran into Bliss on the road. They were right ahead of us. So we ended up storming Bliss. And I loved that way more. I had way more fun. It was way more vibes. And I still was able to get my alcohol. I just was hiding my band. I was trying to be sneaky, but I was asking for my alcohol and my coconut water in separate plastic cups. So they couldn't really get a good look at what mug I had or whatever. And I still was staying hydrated, playing with Bliss after I stormed. That was dope. Oh, and that just leads me to the main point of this. The music for 2020 was surprisingly amazing. Before going to Trinidad, I wasn't really hype about nothing that was going on. But on the road, when you hear it coming out those trucks, that makes all the difference in the world. They all were smashing. My favorite though is damn, I can't even think of Homeboy right now. Nasty Up, and the song Nasty Up, and I can't think of Homeboy's name right now, but that's my shit. And it's the same rhythm as Lyrical song. I thought it was the same song until I found out otherwise, but this version of it is better to me than Lyrical's. That's my review. I went long. My bad. Love you, Cher. Peace.
Hello, Seductive Nova on IG. Trying to make this quick. I was there Wednesday to Wednesday. There's a lot of walking. You get an informational packet in your costume, read it. That lets you know where everything's at. Did not read it. Did not know where I was going, but I found where I needed to be. Directions from the local is a hit or miss. I say ask. I ask every block. Taxis can cross over counties. TT Rideshare was good when you had service. It's better to get their plan on the unlocked phone. I had AT&T, so I was able to call and text, but Instagram and Facebook, all the big media did not work. Have a strong bladder because any outside event is going to have porta potties, even Soka brainwash. Join a group chat and have a fanny pack and wipes.
Here, so real talk. I wasn't in Trinidad Carnival 2019, but just know the Department of Education public school teachers is coming for 2021. You heard? We off. It's our break. We're ready up. We're ready. Yeah. See them with soft.
Thanks for tuning in to the latest episode of Nice-ish. As always, I'm grateful for your time and attention. Stay plugged in by subscribing to this podcast, my website, tingznice.com, and following me on all social media platforms. Visit the show notes for all the links and the plugs related to this episode. If you ever have questions about anything we discuss on the show, be sure to hit me up at info@tingznice.com. And remember, sharing is caring, so please pass this podcast on to anyone you believe will benefit from the information. I'm going to check y'all later.